Have you ever had a dream so real that it left you shaken the next day? For Jason, it wasn't just a dream, it was a warning. Jason was a high school senior in Tucson, Arizona. One night, about a month before graduation, he had a vivid nightmare. In it, he was in the car with his father, driving to get dinner. It was sunset, the air outside dry and golden. They pulled up to a familiar intersection, the kind you barely think twice about. But in the dream, as they crossed, a black SUV ran a red light and smashed into the passenger side. Everything turned upside down. In the chaos, he remembered hearing his father screaming, glass shattering, and the distinct sound of his own heartbeat slowing. Then, darkness. In the dream, he died. He woke up breathless, in a cold sweat, heart hammering so hard he thought he was still in the crash. It had felt so real, the angles, the sunlight, the music playing on the radio. Even the smell of his dad's cologne was there. He told himself it was just a nightmare, but the memory stayed. Fast forward to 3 weeks later. Jason and his dad were out running errands and decided to stop for Raising Cane's. As they drove, Jason noticed something unsettling. Every little thing felt identical to the dream. The sky was the same muted orange. His dad was humming the same song, and then they approached that intersection. Jason's body went cold. It was the exact one from the dream. His hands started shaking. His father asked what was wrong. Jason couldn't explain. It didn't make sense. But something in his gut screamed, "Don't go." "Wait, just wait for the next light," he begged. His dad looked confused, even annoyed. But seconds later, a black SUV blew through the red light, right where their car would have been. It clipped the front end of a truck in the other lane and spun out, crashing into a lamppost. No one was seriously hurt, but had Jason not hesitated, he would have been in that car, right in the path of impact. Jason never forgot that night. The dream, the choice, the guilt of knowing others were still injured. He searched for explanations, neurological déjà vu, premonition, subconscious pattern recognition, but nothing felt right. Sometimes when he tells the story, he wonders, what if that dream wasn't just a fluke? What if it was a memory? Not of what was, but of a version of him that didn't make it. A version that died, alone, in a quiet car at sunset, and left the warning behind. Some déjà vu doesn't come from places or objects.
Sometimes it comes from people, and sometimes it warns you exactly who to fear.
Ryan was 14 when he had a dream so vivid, he remembered every detail for years. In the dream, he was walking down a familiar street with his best friend Colin. They were laughing. Nothing seemed off until suddenly, Colin stopped mid-sentence.
Turned to Ryan.
And punched him, hard, right in the jaw.
Then more. Over and over. No words. Just rage.
Ryan remembered the exact feeling of falling to the pavement, the world spinning, the sound of Colin's shoes scuffing against the curb as he walked away, not even looking back. The dream ended with blood in Ryan's mouth and a feeling he couldn't shake. The trail. He woke up in tears. The next morning at school, he couldn't even look Colin in the eye. He knew it was ridiculous. It was just a dream, right? The feeling never left him. Even as the weeks went by, Ryan started noticing small things. Colin had changed. He was moodier, short-tempered, distant. Ryan started hearing rumors. Colin was getting involved with a group of older teens, kids who liked to fight, steal, start trouble. Ryan tried to be a good friend, ignored the signs, convinced himself it was just paranoia, brought on by a dream he couldn't let go of, until the day it happened. It was a Thursday afternoon. Ryan had just finished his shift at the school library. As he left through the back exit, he saw Colin waiting near the bike rack, alone. Something felt wrong. Ryan tried to wave but didn't get the chance. Colin walked straight toward him and, without a word, punched him in the jaw, just like in the dream. Ryan stumbled, shocked, confused. Then came the second hit, and the third. He didn't fight back. He didn't even scream, because somewhere inside, he felt like he'd already lived it. A teacher heard the commotion and intervened. Colin was suspended. Ryan ended up with a black eye, a chipped tooth, and more questions than answers. When the school counselor asked what happened, Ryan said something he couldn't believe even as he said it. He already did it. I just didn't know it was real yet. Years later, Ryan still wonders if he ever truly had a choice. If his dream had somehow locked him into a path, or worse, If it wasn't a dream at all, maybe it was a memory of something that already happened in another version of his life, one where Colin had always been a monster, and no matter how much Ryan hoped for something different, that timeline was always going to catch up. He never spoke to Colin again, but every time Ryan dreams now, he pays closer attention. Because the last time, it wasn't just a warning, it was a prophecy. You can usually tell the difference between a dream and a memory. But what happens when a dream becomes a memory of something you've never experienced? This story comes from a woman named Elise who swore she once stepped into a house that she'd never been to, but somehow knew better than her own. She was 23, newly engaged, and her fiancé Aaron had invited her to meet his extended family. They lived out in rural Vermont, deep in the woods, where phone signal faded and the roads turned to gravel. Aaron's cousin Mitchell had just inherited their late grandmother's home. He was renovating it and invited them to stay the weekend. Elise had never met Mitchell, never seen the house, never even been to that part of the state. But the moment they pulled into the gravel driveway and the old house came into view, she froze. Something felt off. Not wrong, just familiar. The house was a weathered Victorian, faded white paint peeling around the edges. The porch creaked, the wind chimes sang low and out of tune. As Aaron opened the front door, Elise felt her chest tighten. "I've been here before," she whispered. Aaron laughed. "Maybe it reminds you of your grandma's house." But no. Elise knew. She knew the layout. She knew the staircase would creak on the fourth step. She knew the wallpaper in the hallway would have a tear, small, near the corner. And she was right. Every detail. Exactly how she remembered it, from a dream she had 2 years ago. A dream that made no sense at the time. In it, she wandered this exact house alone. The walls pulsed like they were breathing. A grandfather clock ticked backward in the living room. And in the dream, she had tried to open a locked door in the basement until something knocked back. She never forgot that dream, and now she was walking through it in real life. That night, Elise couldn't sleep. Aaron passed out on the couch with his cousins, but Elise lay in the guest bedroom, staring at the ceiling. Everything felt too familiar, like she was repeating a memory that didn't belong to her. Around 3 a.m., she heard something, a clock. Tick, tick, tick. But there was no clock in the room. She followed the sound, down the hallway, to the living room, and there it was, a grandfather clock, dusty but very much real. It was ticking backward. She stared at it, heart racing, when suddenly, from the basement, 3 knocks, deliberate, slow. Her breath caught. In the dream, that's when she ran. But this time she didn't. This time, she walked toward the basement door. The door creaked open, with a groan that sounded like something exhaling. She stepped onto the first stair, then the second. Then her phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. "Don't go down there again." Her blood ran cold. Again? She looked around. No one was awake. No one had her phone but Aaron. The message vanished before she could show anyone. She never made it down the stairs. She backed away and locked the door. The next morning, she asked Mitchell if he'd ever had dreams about the house. He went quiet, paled, then nodded. "Yeah, since I was a kid." He looked at her carefully. "They always end in the basement." Elise and Aaron left that afternoon. She never went back. But sometimes she dreams of that house again. Except now, she remembers what's behind the basement door. And she always wakes up just before she opens it. Every time. Some places, she thinks, don't exist in just one world. Some memories aren't yours. They're borrowed. And sometimes they're trying to come home. Deja vu, a glitch in the brain, or something trying to warn you, a memory from a life you don't remember living. If you've ever felt it, truly felt it, tell me in the comments. Maybe this isn't the first time you've seen this video. This is Sleepless Explorer. Like, subscribe, and next time deja vu hits, don't ignore it.